Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Dyrude, and I am joined by Sir General Wally.
Hello.
He missed his
Sorry,
cue.
I have stream on and it delayed for me. I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. Uh,
Pog. Alright, yeah, whatever. Anyways, we're here to bring you guys the GatorLAN Spring 2019 Pre-Show, where we basically break down all 12 teams competing at this tournament and tell you how your team can be successful, as well as how your team can also pretty much be its own downfall. So we're going to take you through about the next 45 minutes to an hour or so, break down every single team. And yeah, I'm excited. It's GatorLAN time.
I'm so hyped
for people.
I'm so hyped for tomorrow. It's gonna be a great time.
You don't sound very hyped.
I am hyped. What do you mean? I can't be too hyped because Dex is in a bad mood because he's losing his normal game, so I can't be too hyped around him.
No. Poor Dexy. Well, it's okay. We'll even help Dex. He'll be competing at this tournament too, and we'll tell him how he can get a competitive advantage over his opponents. And all that he needs to do to that is to join this stream. Get everybody in here that you know is competing, and we're gonna have a great time. As of literally in about right now, I'm gonna release the bracket that everyone already knows about. Let me find it though. I know I put it in here. I got it and put it in here. So JK. Let me add it real quick. You know, they don't pay me enough to do this.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you don't have POG enabled, so I gotta do this.
Oh, well, if I made you mod, would you be
I don't know how to do that.
You act like I know how to do it. That's your issue.
Hello, Vasky, I appreciate you in the chat.
There is the bracket for GatorLAN. It was already released, but we're all good. We're going to start up at the top. We're going to work our way down through, but first I'm going to kind of read out the bracket. The first overall seed is Taddy's Daddies. Second seed is Power of God in Anime, otherwise known as the UF team. Third seed is Pepega Clap. Fourth is BRB XDDDDD. The fifth seed is Florida Gulf Coast University. Sixth seed is Team Fish Taco. Seventh seed is Bird Bombers. Eighth seed is the USC rowing team, that is also known as not the actual USC rowing team. Ninth seed is Team FTA. 10th is Eastside High School Legacy. 11th is FSU Esports Black, Go Gators. And 12th seed is Dick Cheney.
You're not gonna read the full name of Dick Cheney's team, man? Come on. It's Dick Cheney made money. Dick Cheney made money off the Iraq War. No, that's the team name, Dex.
That's phenomenal.
Oh, that wasn't what I saw on the registration, so that's
okay.
Unfortunate.
Well, I'm telling you now, that's what it was.
Oh god! All memes aside, we're gonna move through the bracket, starting off with the first matchup, the 8th seed versus the 9th seed, and we're gonna work our way through all 4 first-round matchups, and then we're gonna talk about the top 4 seeds, and if you make it through your match, how you can beat those top seeds in your bracket. Wally,
I'm hyped. So let's start.
You don't sound hype. I need more than that. Wally,
I'm so hyped, Dyrude. Thank you for asking.
I don't know why I even try. Anyways. Oh god, what did I just do? The first matchup is the 8th seed USC rowing team taking on 9th seed Team FTA. USC rowing team, it features Rolexus in the top lane. You are doing great, good sir, in the jungle. Barbacoa in the mid. I'm really high, 420, blaze it. In the AD carry, and Reinhardt playing support. For Team FTA, we have Jin McCain in the top. Lolet you in the jungle. Vital Reflex. Flexing his muscles in the mid. Impress, looking pretty impressive in the bot lane. And Pac-Wan24 playing some Pac-Man as support. Don't know what that has to do with anything, but that's okay. Wally, when you first look at this matchup, it being the 8th seed versus the 9th seed is theoretically the closest matchup that we have. What do you look for first between these two teams?
Just knowing what I know about the teams, I'm really interested to see how the mid-jungle synergy works on both teams. I know that Barbacoa is probably the best player on USC rowing team, and Vital Reflex is the best player on Team Fish Taco Academy. And so I know that USC rowing team is a fairly young team. I'm not sure about Fish Taco Academy, how long they've been together, but it's going to be interesting to see how the mid and jungle synergize together to turn it from just a solo queue game into an actual tournament team.
Yeah, that's always a worry for some of these teams. You have teams coming into the tournament like Power of God and Anime, FSU Esports Black, and Florida Gulf Coast, who maybe they aren't at the top always, like they're not always the number one seed just based off rank, but they consistently perform at the top because they have synergy, because they play together, they have the coach and stuff. So ideally, how do you kind of take a misfit band of solo queue players and make them into a championship winning team?
Well, I think that the main thing they need to do is that so these teams that have been organized for a while, they're still not perfect, right? So they still have weaknesses, and one of the main things that they need to do is they need to realize as a team what the weaknesses of the teams they're playing are. Another thing they need to do is they need to establish vision. That's probably the main difference, or one, not the main difference. One of the main differences in between an actual team and solo queue is that the map is a lot brighter when you're playing as a team, or at least it should be. So that's what I was talking about with that mid-jungle synergy, and even the support, Reinhardt. They need to get deep vision so that GatorLAN cannot make plays happen and snowball the game. Because if you look at his champ pool, Xin Zhao, Lee Sin, and Jarvan, those are pretty snowball champs.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And when I look at, all the ranks of all these players, in the mid lane, you have a D4 Barbacoa Plat 1 versus a D4. The jungle are two high-ranked Platinums going at it. The top lane is Gold 1, Gold 3, 80s, and then both bot laners are also pretty even for the most part. So, it almost feels like that map play is going to be the thing that opens up the difference between the two teams. Which team can get the advantage, which team can make the aggressive moves and get those wards down so that then they can transition through into a mid game. Because I personally don't think we're going to see too many leads be gathered through just solo lanes if you have players this close.
Yeah, I think the way this game's going to work out is honestly whichever mid laner is able to walk or roam around the map and make plays happen, that's the team that's going to have the advantage going into the mid to late game. So the key matchup is that Barbacoa versus Reflex in the mid lane, and I'm really looking forward to watching that game.
Yeah, and what's actually pretty fun about that too is that you see Barbacoa mainly playing Akali. Although I don't know if that's too much. If that still is, highest pick champion by far, but he also has something like the Silas and Cassio backed up versus Vital Reflex, who's much more of an assassin player. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see who gets the priority, and whichever of those two get the priority should be the key for their team being able to snowball.
Yeah,
Seems like I killed you on
no,
that.
No. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Like the champions they play, with the exception of the Cassiopeia, they're very, or I guess the Vladimir also on the other side, but Vladimir's just busted right now. They're very much win more champions. So you see the Akali, you see the Silas, Zed, LeBlanc. If they get a lead in lane, the other mid laner's not going to be able to do anything about it. And I feel bad for whichever bot lane is on the receiving end of the losing mid laner, because those are champs that like to roam.
I mean, Yeah, and both bot laners playing some really high hyper scaling champion series that need the farm. They don't just turn on at a certain point. They take a lot of resources to turn on. I guess the other really quick thing I wanted to highlight too was the top lane matchup. See, Relaxo is playing a lot more carry oriented champions that are a little bit more oppressive in lane. Maybe the Gangplank is not so much known as a champion like that, but I'm assuming go up against a Maokai, Gangplank can have his way. But then you look at Jin McCain, playing a lot more tanks. Maybe he has the Quinn in there, but also feels like Rolexus should be able to get a lane advantage. But then what worries me is then you have LoL at you, running at you with those three snowbally junglers, right?
Well, I think the main thing, if you're looking at the top lane, is going to be wave management. As we were talking about, Rolexus' top three champions, Gangplank, Camille, and Darius. I'm assuming, I doubt that we'll see Quinn in a competitive environment, so we're probably going to see a tank top lane. Rolexus' champion pool is just... it wins the matchup. But the question is the wave control, because LoL U is probably going to camp top lane since Darius and Gangplank are very easily gankable. Not so much the Camille, but we'll have to see what the game plan is. Maybe you are doing great, can hover around top a lot during the early game to counter gank.
No, I guess the other question too is that the difference between these two top laners too is that Jin McCain has much more of an ability to affect the map. Unless I think Rolexus picks the Camille, then that's a different story. But with Jin McCain picking up the Scion and the Maokai, it almost feels like USC rowing team are going to be short of engage just based on what champions they do like to play.
Yeah, so I mean, I would like to see the Camille come out during the tournament. Maybe an engage tank also from Rolexus. I know that we have carry champs in his top three, but I do know that he plays some tanks, just not as much. But looking at the rest of the champ pool, we do notice a severe lack of engage. So that might be concerning for the USC rowing team.
Well, unless they get Silas and they just steal Silent Ult, but ideally, I guess you use the Silas ult for the middle of the fight. It's not really to start anything off per se, but I guess it's an option that they do have, unless they got some tricks up their sleeves. We'll just
Yeah,
never
we'll have
know,
to see
right?
how it works out. This is probably going to be my favorite game of the first round.
I don't disagree, and we're gonna get to watch it live. That's gonna be pretty fun. Looking back at the bracket, whoever wins that is gonna face the number 1 seed Taddy's Daddies. So make sure y'all stick around if you're on either one of those teams, UFC Running Team or Team FTA. Later on, we are gonna break down Taddy's Daddies and how you can beat them. So come back for that. Second matchup that we're going to go through will be the 5th seed, Florida Gulf Coast versus 12th seed, Dick Cheney does whatever with money from Iraq or
Yeah,
something.
Dick Cheney made money off the Iraq War. That's what the team name is.
Okay, that's what the team name is. That's not what I have written down. But anyways, for Florida Gulf Coast, up in the top lane, we do have Voodoo. Jungler is Ronaldo. Saw him on the UF Discord here, I think sometime today. Mid laner is MLG Weeaboo. I think he's a bit of a weeb, so you can roast him a bit if you want, Wally. AD carry is a Collapsed Lyric. And support is Kelgar. Over on the other side, for Dick Cheney is the 12 seed. The top lane is Poozy Destroyer 9000. I'd work my way around that one. Jungler is the Booty Blaster 123. Mid lane is Point Guard Trey playing those e-girls mid laners. AD carry is Lil Tran, and his support is Demacia Lover 69. You gotta love Demacia to have your name be Demacia Lover.
Yeah, you're right. But you are wrong about one thing. Talia is not an e-girl mid. Let's just get that straight.
Yeah, well, I saw Lux. And
Only
Ari,
alphas
so
play Talia mid.
That you can't include yourself in that.
Okay, I revoke my statement.
Anyways, kind of look at these two teams. Obviously, by rank, there's a big difference. Dick Cheney coming in off the wait list as a 12 seed, averaging somewhere between a silver and gold elo. Florida Gulf Coast, though, like you said, a much more well-known team. They played a lot together. A little bit of I think they're high plat MMR. What do you do if you're Team Dick Cheney and you're facing just this big rank deficit?
So the main thing you have to do when you're facing a big rank deficit is I think you have to be super aggressive in the early game. Because what's going to happen is if they get to the mid and late game even, Florida Gulf Coast is just going to out-macro you. Because they just know the game more. But any team can beat any other team if they have a 5k gold lead at like 10 minutes. And they're just that much stronger because at that point you can just A-ram it down mid and win fights. So playing aggressive early, and we do see Booty Blaster 123 does like playing those aggressive champions. We see that the top laner also likes playing the Jason Renekton, very early game champions. But for Dick Cheney, I think you have to win the game by 20 minutes or else it's over.
Yeah, and what almost worries me too about that thought is that looking at the 80 carry pool for Lil Tran, he has Ashe, Ezreal, and Kalista. The only thing that would allow them to be able to quicken the pace of the game is something like the Ashe, where you have the arrows to force engages. But other than that, it doesn't seem like he plays too many of those other kind of champions. It almost feels like if Florida Gulf Coast bans out that Ashe, this bot lane is going to have a tough time getting off the ground.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that lower elo players tend to have smaller champion pools, and that's just a blanket statement. But in this case, it seems to be true, where they have one or two favorite champions, and then they just have a third that they kind of play with. So getting banned out might be an issue, especially for I think the support also might have issues. Nami Morgana, or sorry, they might ban the Nami and then pick Morgana first. You never know.
Yeah, it's very likely. Morgana and Jarvan, as we see on this graphic, are two of the more common champions, actually, upon everyone's top 3 in their champ pools. So there's a lot of things that Florida Gulf Coast can actually do to Dick Cheney as far as draft-wise that can straight up win them the game. Like you said, banning the Nami, picking the Morgana is one of them, because that's just a common champ pick there. And I guess if you're worried at all about the Lee Sin or something, or if not, you can ban the Lee Sin, pick something else, or you can ban Jarvan, pick up the Lee Sin, and you kind of force Booty Blaster onto Xin Zhao, and as long as you have a game plan for that, it feels like you can kind of attack them.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I'm reading chat, and we have some inappropriate behavior happening. Can we get the mods in here?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to give him a 10-second timeout so he can think about what he's done. Timeout. Oh, I didn't want to do it for 10 minutes.
Rip. You're actually Papega.
Wait, how do I undo it? Oh wait, how do I do it? There we go. That was 10 seconds. We're good. We got it back.
Uh,
All right. I hope you've learned your
cut
lesson.
the clip. Cut the clip.
Hey, no, hey, you can't. I'm. Never mind.
All right, where were we? We were getting distracted.
I guess let's talk about Florida Gulf Coast a little bit more since we talked a little bit about Dick Cheney already. If you're Florida Gulf Coast, where's your weakness? Like what is kind of the thing that you're more so looking to protect, and then what's your strong point that you're looking to
So
attack from?
so we've actually scrimmed against Florida Gulf Coast, and out of respect, I'm not going to say too much about the game and their strategy, but they have very talented mechanically players. There's probably not many teams at the tournament that have 5 good players at every role like they do. However, their macro it leaves much to be desired. They got a very early game lead against us, and then it took them about 40 minutes in because they didn't know how to siege. So I think that what they need to do is they just need to clean up some of their macro, and if they clean up their macro, then they can honestly win the tournament. They have the mechanics necessary to win. So that's their strong. So that's kind of their strong suit and their weak suit. They're very talented mechanically, but they need to figure out what to do in the game itself, mid to late.
Yeah, we almost don't know, if they have that one common voice as a shot caller, or even if they just have any of them that are very capable of doing it. But having that leadership, and being able to make the call to push forward is one thing. But it almost feels like, too, looking at their champ pools, they don't have too many great opportunities to siege as far as their champ pool is concerned. I mean, if they manage to get their hands on the Kled or Jax, you have a great 1-4, especially with the Kled, then you can rejoin the team and you can have a full 5v5. But
Well, yes, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying not like straight 5-man and ARAM sieging
yeah.
down mid, but just
Yeah,
attacking the
yeah, yeah.
turrets was.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They don't. It doesn't seem like otherwise, their siege comp would be too good. Like MLG Weebu doesn't really play anything that feels like it would be really good for siege comp, except for the Malzahar, or maybe even if he gets his hand on the Silas against the right champions.
Well,
Then I
keep in
think they
mind
will
this is
play
still only their
siege.
top 3 champions. These players have
Yeah,
fairly deep
that's
champions
fair.
pools. I know MLG Weeaboo has a deep champion pool. Voodoo's isn't as large, but mid can basically play almost anything. Like he has some games on the Azir, for instance, uh, that can help with that. Jesus, Dex.
All right. Yeah, I literally typed Uwu as well in the chat when he did it, and it was at the exact same time. I was really sorry.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, sorry, Relexus, you missed out your time of talking about you. I guess let's talk about Florida Gulf Coast maybe, and like the next matchup if they were to play against BRBXD just a little bit. You mentioned that they don't have the cleanest macro, right? But is it possible to say that they can completely out macro any team at the tournament and win, or do you feel like maybe it's enough of a thing where if they had the right strategies and had the right plans coming in, then they'd actually be able to beat the top teams?
Well, I think that looking at the Jesus. I'm sorry, stop it. Stop misbehaving. Okay. I think that looking at it, I've also seen the number 4 seed BRBXD. I saw them scrim yesterday as well, and they also look like a very solid team. I think that if Florida Gulf Coast does go on to play BRBXD, it will be a very good game. That being said, I think that BRBXD fell into the category that their macro is probably better than Gulf Coast, but their skill isn't as high. Of course, keep in mind, this scrim was Wednesday, so a lot could have changed. They could have had coaching talk about it. But I think that they're going to get through just through raw mechanical skill with, an inch or with an ounce of macro.
Yeah, it almost feels like, especially for this first matchup, that they should be able to just breeze their way through it and make their way going. But for Dick Cheney, make some crazy early game plays. Do some weird 3-man bot thing. I don't know. Do some weird death brush. Just do it. That's gonna be your one way to giving these guys a really tough game and make them underestimate you. So, winner of this, like we said, does go on to play the 4 seed BRBXD, XDDDD, one of them. And then that one actually completes the top half of the bracket. We'll go back, we'll look at the top 4 seeds, and we'll look at the number 1, number 4 seed once we finish through the first 4 matchups. Anyways, next matchup is going to be between number 6, Team Fish Taco, which I learned last LAN is a legitimate team organization. their academy team was signing up, but didn't finish the
No,
sign-up
what do you
so
mean? No,
whatever.
that's Team
And they're
FTA,
playing.
Team Fish Taco Academy. You're trolling.
Oh,
Can I get a pig? Yeah.
I thought FTA standed for something
No.
else.
No, it stands for Fish Taco
You know,
Academy. You're trolling.
effing this butt.
See, stop.
Yikes.
Stop. Can you get on to the next game?
We have the number 60 Team Fish Taco. It's a Zuki up in the top lane. Heimerdoodles is the jungle, and Puffles Mia in the mid laner. Note, by the way, Heimerdoodles and Puffles Mia were the jungle and mid lane for Easy Clap when they won GatorLAN last fall. So keep that in mind when we look at this team. The AD carry is Demon Repent, and the support is Ahin. Over for FSU Black, top lane is Daigusto. The jungler is 6'5", by the way. Mid laner, Blin Foka. AD carry is Ryukai? Oh, it's Ryukai. It's not an L. You can't tell sometimes. And the support is Diviana. Well, since you seem to know a lot about about Fish Tacos, why don't you tell me about Fish Tacos?
About Fish Taco, as you mentioned, Heimerdoodles and Puffles MIA were on the Easy Clap team that won GatorLAN last time that we hosted it. However, we noticed that the bot lane is not the same. We have Demon Repent and a Hint compared to Dankster and Luda, I believe it was. And the few.
But they're on a different.
No, they didn't show up. They signed up, but they didn't play.
Never mind.
But it'll be interesting to see how.
Weak.
What? What?
Oh, I was just calling.
Oh, I thought you said wait. You're actually Pepega. No. But if you remember Heimerdoodle's last tournament, he was basically 1v9 every game. Or not 1v9, but he was carrying the game from the jungle role. He's a very good jungler, very proactive early, very aggressive. And the fact that Puffles and Heimerdoodles are there tells me that they might be better than a 6 seed team because that mid-jungle synergy is so strong, and because Puffles is also a very good mid laner. So they might be able to.
Although,
go ahead.
Although what I will say about Puffles though is that his most played champion last GatorLAN was the Akali, and Akali is pretty heavily nerfed. We don't see it in his top 3. I don't doubt he can still play it, but I doubt it'll actually.
Well, I doubt it'll come out too, but he wasn't necessarily an Akali one trick, right? Like he does play the LeBlanc, he plays the Zoe, plays Cassia, champs that are very aggressive in lane, and can get Heimerdoodles the pressure he needs in order to invade. Now, for the rest of the team, they're a bit of question marks, right? Azuki is apparently a Riven main. So I would not be surprised if we saw a Riven ban coming out, because if I remember correctly, they have 59 games on Riven. Next highest is Jace with 20. So they're almost they drop off. So I would not be surprised to see a Riven ban. And if you ban Riven, then can Azuki perform up against Daigusto? And also we have this bot lane, Demon Repent and a Hin. I haven't heard of them, but they seem to be all right players. What are their ranks?
Demon Repent is Gold 1, and Ahin is
Alright, so Gold 1 and Diamond 4. So they're not bad players by any stretch, but they're definitely not what Dankster and Luda brought to the team last year. So it'll be interesting to see how this bot lane, if it will negatively impact the team. Because you have such a strong mid-jungle synergy that I wouldn't be surprised if the skill discrepancy from last year will be covered up by it, but it'll be interesting to see, to say the least.
Yeah, and looking at ranks across the board, as we mentioned, Heimerdoodles, Puffles, Mia, they own the advantage. Azuki also has the advantage, but assuming that, he's just a Riven one trick, which clearly is not, because he has 20 games on the Jace, it might mean a bit of a drop-off once you ban the Riven. But then when I look at the bot lane, you actually see something interesting, right? Demon Repent's Gold 1, Ahin is Diamond 4. But for FSU Black, Ryukai is Diamond 4, and Diviana is Gold 4. So this bot lane, these two bot lanes are actually really even. In your personal opinion, does having the higher rank for the AD carry do more than the higher rank as the?
Well, it really depends. If you're looking at laning phase, I think the higher elo support will make the difference. Although if we look at Diviana, they play E-Girl supports, Morgana, Nami, Sona.
I mean, so does Ayin.
What? They both play E-Girl supports. I didn't even see that. Yo, that's actually pretty dope. But basically, we're gonna have an E-Girl bot lane, and I don't see much happening in the laning phase, so I think that having the higher elo on the AD carry will pay off more. Now the question is how is FSU Black going to draft? Because they're basically Team Fish Taco's got higher elos in every role except for ADC, so you more so want to play around your ADC. So I'm curious to see if we see just a single carry comp with a supporting cast of 4 people. So maybe like a tank top, Nunu or Sejuani in the jungle, Morgana mid, and then an E-Girl support with a hyper carry ADC.
Yeah, that was actually something I was going to bring up, was that what FSU Black can do, since they have Blindfoca who can play the Morgana in the mid lane, if for some reason the Morgana gets let through, Team Fish Taco don't pick it first round in either their game 1 or game 3, or if it's FSU's game 2, they're blue side and they decide to pick up the Morgana first, you can flex that around between the mid and the support. And what's nice about that is that it completely counters everything Puffles Mia brings to the table. It counters the LeBlanc, counters the Zoe, even counters the Akali if it decides to bring it out. And against the Cassio in lane, it does do just enough to keep you safe, and it has a lot of push pressure. So almost might be able to shut down one of the greatest advantages that Team Fish Taco has.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading spam in Twitch chat. What did you just ask me? Can we get the mods on this? It's very distracting.
Well, you're the one who posted it.
There is no such thing. Repeat your question.
I just said that FSU has the ability to flex a Morgana pick between the mid and the support, and that if they actually manage to get the Morgana, say TFT doesn't pick it in their first round on games 1 and 3 and don't ban it, or maybe FSU on their round 2 gets through the ban phase, they pick that and they can flex it between the mid and the support role, such that if Puffles actually picks an assassin like the Zoe, the LeBlanc, or the Akali, then they could actually completely shut down that role with the Morgana pick and just have the complete shove, be extremely safe with the champion pick.
Yeah. Now, I know that normally when you see a 6-11 matchup, you normally think it's going to be a stomp, but I think this one might be closer than the average spectator would think. I think if they can play around Ryukai, I think FSU Black can take a game, if not the series, off of Team Fish Taco, just because of the ADC difference in ELO.
But what is also, scary is you mentioned Heimerdoodles and Puffles.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's a scary
I'm not going to say what you do or what Teo does to me, but you put them on degenerate duty. You put the rest of your teammates on champs that are so hard to mess up that they can't possibly mess up. Examples of this include Vladimir, Morgana, Lysandra, although Lysandra's kind of guttered right now, but basically champs that nullify the ELO discrepancy. So obviously you wouldn't want to play like Diana into Puffles just because Puffles is a lot more experienced with the matchup. He'd probably win it. But if you play Morgana, then what is Puffles going to do as a LeBlanc? Just farm? You can't kill a Morgana, really.
Yeah. Can't kill him, can't roam, because then you just lose your tower, right? Because Morgana just has so much.
Me press W.
Me press W. Me have skill.
But that's what I'm saying is that in the one role that matters in ADC, you have a skill discrepancy, so you can take advantage of that.
Well, definitely. So that was between Team Fish Taco and FSU Esports Black. Whoever wins that will go on to face the 3 seed. Pick a clap. That's actually how you announce their name. The clap just isn't written in there, except for the clap.
Papega clap.
It's not actually written in there. Papega clap. That's how you have to announce them. And whoever actually moves on, that'll be a really fun matchup. Especially if Team Fish Taco, the higher seed, is the team that actually moves on. It seems like it'd be a lot of really good matchups between those. Moving on to the last first round matchup, it's the 7 seed Bird Bombers versus the 10 seed Eastside Legacy. Yes, that is the high school. Yes, I'm the only one who knows what that is because I'm from Gainesville. Oh, well, that's what it is. Anyways, going into it, the 7 seed is Bird Bombers, and this is a team close to my heart, part of the Intramural League. I'm rooting for these guys. The top lane, it's Rich Wolf. The jungle is Davius. Mid lane is Mutant Justin. AD carry is Sprinkled Muffins, and support is Tyronis. Over on the other side, it's 10 seed Eastside Legacy. Crypto Jam in the top lane. I like to kite the jungle. A Techno is in the mid lane. Ex-trainee, who used to be a trainee, is no longer a trainee, is the AD carry. And Rooster Hides is the support.
Yeah. All right, so before we get into this, I just want to give a shout-out to my homie Techno. He was in my solo queue game yesterday and did not int, so that automatically gives them plus points in my book.
Woo, good job, Techno. You did good. All right. So I kind of want to talk about Bird Bombers first, just because, like I said, I know these guys well. I know you know them well and how they play.
Yeah.
And they bring a style of gameplay that is really difficult to beat, actually, I think, to the table. Mutant Justin, he likes to play those really high utility mids, right? The Annie, Galio, Lissandra, and he's so effective at any of them. Maybe he won't CS the best, maybe he won't kill you in lane, but the map pressure which he can exert on those champions is so insanely high.
Yeah. But I would like to point out this is not the team from Intramural because we have my boy Tyronis in the support instead of whoever the support is for them normally. But yeah, you're right. It is this Intramural League team plus Tyronis.
Oh, they're Avalanche, yeah.
No, it's not Avalanche. It's Cool Gamers. Cool Gamers, yeah.
Bad. Cool Gamers. Yeah, should I flex their logo on the
no,
screen?
don't do it to them. But that is one of the things that I'm interested to see is that Bird Bombers, most of them do play together a lot. But Eastside Legacy, you mentioned their high school team. Do you think they play together for a really long time?
Well, I know they do. I know Techno and X-Trainee have been playing for a while. I Like to Kite played last fall with X-Trainee. Crypto Jam and Rooster Hide, so those are the new names, unless they're just name changes. The big question mark for me, though, is definitely in the top lane. It's Crypto Jam.
Yeah, we know Rich Wolf can play that Fiora, a very snowball-heavy champion. And looking at Crypto Jam's champion pool, they played Diana, I believe, was their most played champion, and then you have niche champs such as Jarvan and Quinn. So I'm not sure what the champion pool top lane is going to look like. Whether they'll just let him play the Jarvan or Diana, or if they're going to stick him on a tank.
Stick him on a tank. I mean, you said it. That's the best way to win, especially if you're not sure you're going to win a matchup like that. Rich Wolf will play very in your face. That's given by his champs, obviously. In addition to what's on screen, he also has a really nasty cannon that he will pick into you if he feels like, hey, you're disrespecting me up here. It's not the same thing as Zoso picking Vayne and, the old FGCU guy going, picking Caitlyn. Really big throwback to that. But, Rich Wolf, it feels like he has an answer to anything, and if he gets a counter pick, he will counter pick you. And it won't matter because it will also supplement the team just well enough.
Yeah, we hear Twitch chat spamming. He's playing Quinn, so that I forgot about the Quinn. Quinn is a champ that maybe could nullify Fiora in the early game, and I'm not sure how the Quinn Olaf match goes. I don't play top lane, but it seems like Olaf would. That seems like
Olaf presses R.
Yeah, well, I mean, Olaf presses R, but if Quinn can get a lead early, then we'll probably have a classic case of Hashinshin in the top lane complaining about range champions. Which,
Wait, Rich Wolf plays range
champions. He plays not. No, you know what I'm talking about. Hashinshin plays Olaf. Olaf would lose early to Quinn, my dude. Use your 3 brain cells and figure it out. No, not you, Dex. Use your 2 brain cells and not pay attention.
We have a lack of brain cells here at the Gator Gaming LOL Club. Oh gosh. Anyways, going back to this. Tyronis, normally an AD carry player. Now he's moving into support. Do you know anything about him playing support? He's not.
I know that Tyronis can play basically any role. Like he's an ADC main, but he played mid lane during tryouts last year, and gave me a clapping on Corky. So I love him for that. And he does play some support. And support and ADC, if you have to move from ADC to any other role, support's probably a decent role because you still have that 2 versus 2 dynamic that you can maintain the knowledge from. So we see he likes playing Braum, Nami, and Lulu, so he's either picking Braum or an E-Girl. So those are the champs that are the hardest to mess up. So I wouldn't be too worried about Tyronis in the bot lane. He will be able to hold his own.
So then for me, if Tyronis can hold his own, I'm looking at Sprinkled Muffins, right? In the Intramural League, I think he's 3rd overall in KDA. 4.58 is the specific number. I actually don't know what place he is. Surprising, I would not know it the other way around. But he's very carry heavy, and it's not like he's just playing super aggressively and getting all these kills. But it just feels like in the Intramural League, he's completely clapped any bot lane he's gone up against. It has been Tyronis. It has been other AD carriers like Galaximus, like Dark Scorpion. A few other names are slipping my mind, but it almost feels like this guy can carry them late into the tournament.
Yeah, Sprinkled Muffins, assuming that he does not get permaban for toxicity. I remember that was an issue with the league, was a banned account. So assuming he does not get permaban by that time, he is a very good carry. We've played against him, and he's definitely able to 1v9 a game. If you don't,
Page 9 of the rule book. Don't be toxic, otherwise you can't.
Wait, hold on. Oh, I thought you were talking to me. I was like, when am I toxic? I'm reformed.
Nope. No. I'm just stating it.
Okay, yeah. No toxicity, by the way.
That includes you.
Shut up. I'm reformed. Anyways, you know me. I'm a mid laner. I want to get to this mid jungle duo synergy. So we have Davius versus I Like the Kite in the jungle. And I just want to say, from the intramural, I've said it in the intramural league, and I'll say it here, Davius is probably going to be one of the best junglers that there will be at GatorLAN. Even though he's on the 7 seed team, he is a very aggressive, very good jungler, and he will punish you for early mistakes. So it'll be interesting to see how I Like the Kite will be able to handle such an aggressive playstyle. If a Techno is able to maintain mid priority, then that will be able to help, but it's looking like it's going to be a resident sleeper in the mid lane, because I'm assuming there's going to be an Annie ban, since that's what Mutant Justin likes to play the most, and Zoe doesn't really do well.
Probably Zoe ban in response.
You might ban the Zoe. Zoe's just annoying to play against, but it's probably going to be...
I mean, a Techno has played a lot
of Zoe. A Techno has played a lot of Zoe.
A lot of Zoe.
Oh, fun fact, a Techno actually told me not to play Zoe in our game because only he could love Zoe. So I locked Zoe even though I wasn't going to, and carried 2, 6, and 10, by the way. But we look at the rest of those teams. It was Galio, Lissandra, and then Malzahar, Lissandra. It's probably going to be Resident Sleeper, Wave Clear, so the junglers might be on their own because the mid laners are just going to match Wave Clear.
So, but you know, but that being said, there's a huge tendency to see a 5v5 bot lane fight in any one of these 3 games by any of these teams. You have the mid laner roam, especially Mutant Justin. He's on the Galio, ult down. Lissandra roams very hard. Malzahar can easily follow too, as they both have good push power. And then you have double TPs, right? So you can see a 5v5 fight, and that's where I think this matchup could get really interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited for the NA Clown Fiesta in the bot lane that's going to ensue. And it'll probably turn the tide of the game.
NA means North America.
Right? NA? Yeah, NA means North America. What, are you trolling?
NA is not allowed or not applicable.
Can I get someone else to cast this with me?
Going back, anyways. 7 seed Bird Bombers, 10 seed Eastside Legacy. There's a lot about each team, and especially mostly about player tendencies for both teams. Whoever wins that, it should be actually a pretty fun series, which I think will actually go full 3 games. They will play Power of God and Anime.
No, it's Power of God and Anime. You didn't write it right on the thing. And
Power of God and Anime. Yeah, well, yeah, I know. I couldn't fix this one without having to redo the entire graphic, so I didn't want to.
Okay.
It's okay. I got it right on all the other things. You can bitch at me later. It's fine. Anyways, with that being said, that was all the first round matchups. Now, if you're one of the top 4 seeds, or if you're even one of the other 8 seeds and want to know how to beat the top 4 seeds, this is where we come in. We're going to start bringing down the top 4 seeds. We're going to start with the 1 and 4 just because they're on the same side of the bracket and are the most likely to meet up with each other. And then we'll do the 2 versus the 3. Anyways, here we go. Starting off, top 4 seeds. It's number 1 overall, Taddy's Daddies in the top lane. If Can I Heal in the top lane, Rapid GM is the jungler. Do is doing it in the mid lane. Oblivion Sender is in the bot lane. And Jesus in a Bottle 69 is in the support role. Almost that's something I shouldn't have. That's okay. On the other side, it's 4 seeded BRBXDDDD. We have in the top lane Night Ghost 42. The jungler is Lord Kingslayer. The mid lane is USA guys. I guess there's multiple guys that play on that account, so be ready for that. It's plural. The AD carry is Guardian of Hope, and the support is Guardian of Time. I will not be shocked if they are a legitimate couple, because those are the only people who do names like that.
Dyrude, you're an idiot. His name's not Rapid GM. His name is Rapid, and his rank is GM. You're trolling.
Well, I didn't know
I literally sent you the same format. It's okay.
You know, that would explain why the ranks did not seem
I will
to have
say, so let's just get to talking. Let's talk about the 1 seed first.
Rapid. Okay.
So,
yeah.
I'm gonna start with some flame. Are you okay with that, Dyrude? I'm gonna start with some flame. I don't think
if you're explaining no.
I don't think this is the number 1 seed team. I know they are in terms of Elo, but I don't think they're the best team at this tournament.
I wonder who is.
No, the answer may surprise you later, but aside from Rapid, the rest of the team is high plat, low diamond, but Rapid is a grandmaster player. But
You mean Rapid?
shut up. Rapid is a grandmaster player, but Rapid was also Diamond 4 in Season 8. So we all know the Fiesta that was the start of Season 9 ranked. So I have doubts about the legitimacy of that, but if it is well earned, then good on you. But
I mean, well, that being said,
no,
he
he's
had
still
it
a
in
very
him,
good player. I'm not
He
taking
did
anything
it.
away from that. I'm just
Yeah,
saying that
and
there's normally a
in him having, I don't know, but what I was segueing to is that even if he has that, or he has the ability to get up that high, having that in the jungle role, which for me I think is the most influential role in league right now, seems to be a thing where you can say, dang, this team is really scary because the best player is in the
no.
best role and can really make any of his team
You're
good
definitely
just
correct.
by
He
his
is
play.
definitely the best player, and they are going to be a very scary team. But I was just throwing my 2 cents out there. There's all 5 very good players in their role, and they will be able to compete with anyone at this tournament. I was just throwing some light flame.
Where do you attack them? Maybe in the ban phase, maybe in the actual game phase, based on what champions they can play. What do you do to really tackle them and bring them down?
So I'm looking at these OP.GGs. I'm hitting them with the Rakan ban. I'm hitting them with a Nazir ban, and I'm hitting them with either a York or a J4 ban. Probably J4 actually, since York isn't as good and competitive.
Probably Jarvan.
Yeah, because if you look at their OP.GGs, Rakan 48 games played, next highest Leona at 14. Azir 20 games played, next highest Silas at 8. And then Jarvan has he can play a lot of champions, but 65% win rate on 126 games of Jarvan is no joke. So
Sounds
it's
legitimate.
talking, and also you could ban the York in the top lane just because I don't see much else that Canaheel can play. Silas 11 games but 27% win rate. Akali 10 games played, won one of them. So this team is very prone to getting banned out.
So essentially, the best way to attack them and gain that immediate advantage is in that pick
Right.
ban phase. And it almost feels like too, if you just take the Silas pick off table 2, which is also pretty strong. I feel like USA guys, he has the Ari or the Akali in his pocket. He can probably play that into the Azir, and if he can somehow scale up into the mid game, then you can take down something like an Azir, even if that's Deuce best champion. If you're pretty crafty, I feel like that's something that you can do too. Or like I said, if you ban the Azir, maybe you throw in a Silas ban, or you don't. You're at least forcing him off of that champion. And if these guys are BRBXD, if they have a large enough champ pool, or if any team that goes into them has large enough champ pool and can't be easily banned out, that's probably where they can level out the playing field.
Yeah, I think that the way that BRBXD wins this tournament, since it's not necessarily determined that these guys are going to play against each other, but the way they win this tournament is by playing around their bot lane. As I said, I've seen them scrim their bot lane. The Guardians are both very good players, very apt to carrying. And we see that Guardian of Time plays the E-Roll supports, and Guardian of Hope plays these hyper carries. We see Lord Kingslayer plays a lot of Ivern, so it could be a lot of protect the carry comp, and that's very hard to beat if you don't know how to do it. It's very frustrating.
Now, what does worry me for BRBXD is if, assuming these two teams do eventually match up against one another, or just for BRBXD in the tournament at all, because I'm going to look at Florida Gulf Coast and what they play. Yeah, BRBXD, their jungler, Lord Kingslayer, playing the Ivern, playing the Fiddlesticks. Maybe Fiddlesticks can clear well, Nunu can clear well, but it almost feels like these are champions that could get kind of run over by invading champions like the Jarvan, like the Xin Zhao, that Rapid actually does play. So I feel like that's something where they need to have a game plan ready for how to attack that, because a lot of junglers at this tournament, they play the really aggressive picks. There's a lot of Jarvan, there's a lot of Xin Zhao. I would know because I made the graphics.
Yeah, that seems to be the meta right now, is early game aggressive jungling. As my jungler has informed me, recently, jungle sucks. You don't have to farm. You literally just brain dead gank 24/7 and win the game. That's what our comps sound like, and it's very accurate. So you see a lot of these early aggressive junglers, and that's why they're so often played, and that's why you got to see them a lot making the graphics. I am a bit worried if they do let Azir through. If he gets to that 2-item spike before the game's out of reach, then that swings the game in the favor of Taddy's daddies. So I don't know. I don't think letting Azir through for anybody that can play it is worth it if they're like a good Azir player.
Coming from an Azir main,
Uh,
that is.
yeah.
We'll find out shortly whether or not that statement is true. But other than that, kind of looking at least about what these other two teams do. Both AD carries kind of gonna play a hyper carry that takes a few items to get going. Both support. The two supports actually have some very different playstyles. For Daddy's you have some very aggressive laning support, so along with the Soraka for a different look. But then for Guardian of Time, it's those E-Girl supports to hang back, let Guardian Hope do all the work, and they're just going to make sure that, or sorry, let Guardian Hope do all the dirty work, and Guardian of Time's just going to sit there, shield, heal, maybe throw out some damage spells when it counts. So there's some very different looks, at least from the supports. But then the mid lane feels pretty much the same between them, how they like to play. I think Dew is going to more so sit in lane unless he gets his hand on the side of this and scale. And USA guys, though, he's going to be the guy that's kind of moving around a lot more. And then in the top lane, kind of similar look as well, going through things. So it feels like the difference between these teams is kind of in the mid and the support. And teams that can beat them are going to have to be teams that make some really crafty plays here in the mid game.
Right. I think that the way that you beat BRB XD is you just... They have a game plan they want to run. They want to protect Guardian of Hope. They have the means to get them a lead through the Twisted Fate, Ahri, and Akali roams. They want to get their ADC ahead and then just fight you with endless shields and protection. So you cannot let that happen. If you try to teamfight these guys, you will lose. So it's... You have to out-macro them, I believe. Unless you get a very heavy lead in lane phase, which I doubt will happen. These guys are all very mechanically sealed players. Then they're going to try to team fight you, and you're going to have to figure out a way around it. That's why I was considering the Yorick ban, because Yorick will be able to break up this comp where he's just going to split push all game when you want to be 5v5 deathball if you're BRBXD.
100%. And so with that, I'm going to close discussion on these two teams and open it up to the last two. On the other side, it is Power of God in Anime and Pepega Clap. That wasn't really a good clap, but that's all right. Anyways, these two teams, I'm actually really hoping do match up. Now, if we see an upset, I'm going to be ecstatic because I love seeing upsets personally because I'm a big college basketball guy. I like seeing those upsets. But if we don't have any upsets, I'm so excited about this game. One, because of all the friendships and how all these people know each other. But then two, just the champ pools, how these guys play, the ranks. It's all so similar. But at the same time, Pepega Clap feels like such a dangerous team.
Yeah, I mean, you see some recognizable names. You see Salamander Man, you see Hillside Boys, you see Zoso, and you see Krusty Fart Milker, who we all know as, what is his main account name? Lobster Man. Yeah, Lobster.
Crayfish
Man. What? It's Lobster Man. Oh, you're trolling.
Yeah, I know. I just like calling him Crayfish because it makes him feel smaller.
But we see some very recognizable names on that team. And then, of course, you have the UF team under the name Power of God in Anime. So these guys have played against each other a lot. And so a lot of scrims, a lot of games at tournaments.
Even in houses playing together. So these guys, they both know each other's tendencies, right? So if they actually do match up, oh my god, am I so excited. And I think that's going to be the game that would draw a crowd other than the finals. I mean, every single game is going to be good, obviously, in some way, but oh my god, I have no idea how excited I am to see something like this. Anyways, I guess let's look at Pepega Clap first, and then I'll trash your team.
Okay,
Wally. With Pepega Clap, you Salamander Man in the top lane. He's very known for playing tanks. He loves playing tanks. That's his main thing. But he's more so a jungle player than a top lane. Not saying he can't play top laners, but it's not his 100% go-to. It's more so like he plays 65 to 70% jungle, and then the other time he's playing top, right? At least competitively. Hillside Boys, though, on the other hand, makes up for that kind of solo lane difference because this guy is so insane out of the mid lane and used to be challenger. So why don't you kind of break them down for me, just the solo lanes for Pepega Clap?
I'm going to say it. Hillside Boys is going to be the best player of this tournament. He's just like an absolutely disgusting player to play against. It gives me nightmares. But as we see, the Zoe is the most played champion for actually both of them this year. So it'll be interesting to see if that's going to be banned away, probably by Power of God in Anime. I don't think Pepega Clap's going to worry about banning it, but it's probably going to be a contested pick. It'll be pick banned every game at least. We see UF Rice in the top lane, likes playing carry champions. We see the Akali, even though it's guttered. We see the Vladimir and Urgot against Salamander Man, who's much more of a tank player. We see the Jax up there, but he's more of a poppy player. He just likes to chill, farm up. Remember the good old times when we had the jungle warding item, and then scale for late game. So, I think
you actually brought it.
I think that Power of God in anime definitely has the advantage on the top side of the map, but top lane of the map. But Papega Clap obviously has the far better mid laner.
Yeah, and what actually worries me about UF Rice, and this is where I was going to go about sort of quote unquote trashing the team, is that he is one of the higher ranks on the team, right? And he does do very, very well in solo queue and is a very gifted mechanical player. But what worries me is, like you said, his champion pool. It's the fact that Akali is his most played champion, yet we remember him at playing last year against EC Clap, lost with that pick in Game 3 because it almost felt like he couldn't get to a point where he could even exert pressure on the really behind 80 carry in the final team fight. That's like a comic clip that runs through my head, right? So you have the Akali, which is super nerfed. I mean, you have still Vladimir, who's a really good champion, and Urgot, who's also a good champion, but it almost feels like that top lane is where you almost see it kind of start to falter. Because the way that this team likes to work is that you in the mid lane, right? You're super solid. You're not going to get a lead. You're not going to necessarily fall behind either. You're going to farm. You're going to be solid there.
Correct.
Right? US Spartan is the player that is ideally going to carry every single game because he is if he's not the best player on the team, then he is the more likely to carry a game player on the team, just because funneling resources into him does mean so much because he can play so aggressively and win so many damage trades early. But in the top lane, you see UF Rice play really feast or famine. So I feel like if you're going to attack the team anyway, it has to be through the top
Right,
lane.
and it's going to come down to a matter of what do the junglers do. I think jungle is going to be a huge difference in this game. So as you were mentioned, UF Rice is probably the best player on Power of God in anime. They're going to want to send resources his way.
I said Spartan. US Spartan.
No,
I prefer safe.
I like safe too, but I'm just saying if we're looking at elos, UF Rice is the highest.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, if we're looking at elos, UF Rice is the highest elo, and you're putting him up against Salamander Man, who, isn't a top lane main, but likes playing the tank. So if you leave Rice on an island alone with Salamander Man, eventually that deficit's going to be too much to overcome. But Musinik can probably take advantage of that and camp top lane. Now the question is, what is Decimus going to do in response to that? Is he going to countergank?
Play Volibear.
He's going to play Volibear. You guys are... I know that you guys at home are laughing at the Volibear. You have never seen my boy Decimus's Volibear. He will wreck you. You better...
I hate
better
Volibear.
ban it.
That's not a champion.
It's coming.
Better ban it. It's his third most played.
You better ban it. I'm telling you now. It's either Volibear or Udyr. He's been wanting to play those. I don't know. Because Carter's weird like that.
The thing too about Power God and anime, about you guys in general, is that these guys play so much together. This has been a squad for over a year. I think about a year and a half now. So they have a lot of experience playing with each other, and so you really have to kind of pick them apart. They have some players that are a little bit tilt prone. Not gonna I said players. I didn't say one player.
I'm reformed.
I said players. There's two I can think of who are very tilt prone. You have to pick them apart, and you have to force them on tilt just through small plays. They don't really get you anything, but just annoy them and get them to play kind of off rhythm or off their game, and that's how you're gonna beat them. But Papega Clap, I don't know how you actually go about beating them, other than the top lane's gonna be solid. It's not gonna win, I don't think. If anything, it'll probably lose, but it won't be that bad, right? The jungle, we'll see. The champ pool's kind of different for Messianic. I don't really know too much about him. Having the Evelyn in his pocket gives him, Evelyn and Kindred in his pocket give him some aggressive picks, which he can force a lot of plays with, as well as the Camille. But it's a squishier look if you pick the Evelyn.
I have a decent amount of experience with both these teams, so let me tell you how the teams win. So Power of God in anime is going to win. Step 1 is banning Zoe. That champ's not getting through. So what's going to happen is we know there's skill discrepancies in the top and mid lane, opposite teams. So what's going to happen is you're going to want to put your top laner on a carry, and then maybe mid lane on more of a supportive role. So maybe something like the Zillion, something like the Talia that can run bot, something like Morgana. Degenerate duty, if you will. And and then just help your bot lane, because that bot lane is probably very even skilled. I know Spartan and Zoso are both very good ADCs. Probably the best two ADCs at this tournament. I don't know how you rate them, but I think Spartan might have the edge these days. But
I agree.
But they're both undeniably the two best ADCs at this tournament. And then you have Lemillion, who is I forgot to shout out to my boy Jeremy, the best support at the tournament. You have Lemillion, who plays these aggressive champions and can get a lead, but we're going to see what a Krusty Fart Milker can do in response to that. I think that the way Power of God and Anime wins is by getting a lead bot lane and snowballing that throughout the game.
See, here's the thing for me. Krusty Fart Milker, otherwise known as Lobster Man, I almost feel like, depending on what he goes with, can be the better support. It just kind of depends. If Lemillion is on the Zyra or the Thresh, then I definitely agree. But as soon as you take him off those two champions, and I actually do give some advantages to some other players, he's really more well-known for those two champions. I feel like if you're somehow able to force him off, or even play some weirder picks that maybe seen, Lobster Man, that Kale support is a real thing that he can play.
I think this will definitely be the closest game. Assuming these two teams play, this will be the closest game of the entire tournament, in my opinion. Both these teams are very well matched up. They have skill discrepancies, but overall, I mean, these are probably this is what I was talking about, where earlier with the number one seed, these are the top two teams of the tournament right here, and they have to play in semifinals, unfortunately.
Well, it'll be really exciting either way. Looking back finally overall at the bracket, we've gone through everything, right? Well, number one overall, whether you agree with it or not, is Taddy's Daddies. You have them all the way down through the 12 seed. Dick Cheney made some money or something off the Iraqi war or something. I want to know, I think I already know kind of some of your answers, but what is the best potential matchup in each round?
Ooh, best potential matchup. Easily 8-9 is the game I'm looking at for round one. The USC rowing team versus Fish Taco Academy. That's the one I'm going to be spectating.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that one. Although I will say, I think Team Fish Taco and FSU Esports, if FSU can play well, I think that will be a good series as well. Team Fish Taco is a very good team. They've been playing together for a while, but never doubt the power of a good AD carry and then 4 degenerates that are protecting them. I honestly think the only game that's going to be like a complete stomp is the 5-12, but that's to be expected, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, second round potential matchup that would be the most exciting. Potential.
Are you ready? You're talking about exciting as in close, right?
I have a preference. I personally think the 3-6 would be super fun.
You think Team Fish Taco can beat Papega Clap? I think they can.
I'm saying it'd be really exciting. I'm saying either 3-6 or the 2-7 are
I'm gonna throw you for a curveball, okay? No, hear me out. If an upset happens in the second round, it will be the 2-7 game. That's my prediction. The reason for that is that even if you look at the elo discrepancies, that doesn't matter. I was talking about earlier. Davius is such a hyper-aggressive jungler, and Power of God and Anime, we either play really well early game, or we shit the bed early game. There is no in between. So I think Davius might have what it takes to tip it on that other end of the spectrum and pull off an upset and take a game, if not the series. Now, of course, I have faith in my team, but I'm just letting you know that it's not the normal Resident Sleeper 2-7 matchup. I am going to be worried about that game.
Yeah, and as a little extra note, just for everyone, this is probably the most competitive GatorLAN that we've had yet. Just looking at all the ranks of every single player, the average EOs of each team, like, we've never seen a 7 seed be as good as Bird Bombers, and they're still a 7 seed. That means they're on the bottom half of all the teams that are actually in the tournament, right? So this is like insanely high elo tournament for once, which is super awesome.
I don't know if I'd say insanely high elo. I'd say this is a high elo tournament for Gator. For GatorLAN, yeah.
Used to.
But I was talking about the 2-7, but I would not be surprised if Eastside also upset Bird Bombers, just because the play style. So going back to that, I kind of got ahead of myself, but we'll see.
All right, and then I think we're all on the same page, right? The best potential semifinal is that
Yeah,
2-3,
2-3 is
right?
probably going to be the best semifinal. It'll be the best
I
game,
want
assuming
that.
it happens.
I want that to happen. Anyways, with that, thank you everyone for
Oh,
joining.
wait,
I was
are you not going
Dyrude.
to talk about the
What?
winners? I thought we always.
Wait, okay. Okay, yeah. Who do you think's
Who do
gonna
I
win?
think is going to win? Uh,
Well, you wanted me to
yeah.
ask you,
No,
so don't
I
act
was
surprised
asking
if
you
I
the
ask you.
question.
Who do I think's
Yeah.
gonna win? See, that's really tough for me, right? Just because I don't know anything about Tatty Zaddies, but them being the #1 overall makes me think something. And they have Rapid, who is a Grandmaster Jungler. But for me, I mean, I really can't say because it has to be the winner of this
That's
2-3
exactly what I
semifinal
was
that I
thinking
think
too.
is like I don't even know who it's gonna be because I think it's gonna be so good. If Hillside Boys and Mesunik and Salamander Man can really play insane and destroy Paragon and Anime, then they're gonna win, right? But if Paragon and Anime win, they play super clean and they work everything out like how they usually work it out. I think they also have it in the bag. So I can't even say if I had to do it, I would do it with Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and that's who I couldn't tell you who would win. But
Uh,
I'm gonna go against my guts, and because you're here, I have to go against it. I'm gonna say Papega Cloud,
ooh.
just to throw out a different answer this time, because I've always gone with you guys, right? So I have to do something different this time.
Yeah. I'm gonna actually hit you with the move. You ready for the actual upset? I think
Tell me.
BRB wins this tournament. Just telling you now. I think
Ooh,
that what's going to happen, hear me out. They're going to beat Gulf
hearing
Coast.
you.
They're going to upset Tatty's Daddies. And then the 2-3 game, League is an exhausting game mentally. We all know this. After that intense series, the winner is going to be like, I want to go home. It, ha- it,
We
it
already won
happened.
the
It
tournament,
happened at
but they didn't.
Polytech to teams. It might happen here depending on how long this goes on. But BRBXD is going to be fresh. They're going to be coming off a clean 2-0 over Tatty's Daddies, I'm calling it, and then they're going to win.
Oh shoot, that's bold. All right. Before I close, I just remember something else. Everyone's no matter when you're playing, whatever, registration is at 10 a.m. Be registered before the game start at 11 a.m. so we can tell you things. That being said, bring obviously all your stuff with you, but not everyone is going to play all at once. So you're not going to see 8, 9, 5, 12, 6, 11, and 7, 10 all play at once. We're doing something new this year in order to minimize lag at the event. We're going to be running flights. That doesn't mean that because you're not in the first flight, don't show up. That's why I'm not saying anything about when the flights are, who's in what flight. But everyone show up at 10 a.m. between 10 and 11 to sign in. Do that. I'll tell you specifically what time you guys are playing at, and if you have off time, go spend it watching some Smash or something, and go enjoy the event. We'll be up in the Rion Ballroom. I think that's level 3 of the Rights Union. So be sure to be there between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. You got
Yep,
that,
I'll be
Wally?
there on time. But bagels and noodles first. It's the tradition, even though it's trash.
Well, inform your team. I'll be there, so y'all can stop and say hey to me because I'm going to be over there at the registration desk to give me all the info. So with that, I've been Dyrude with Sir General Wally of UF.
Yes, it's been a pleasure
That's a
being
really
here,
nice name.
Dyrude.
And I hope any of this information has been helpful for you guys or has been interesting in any way. And I cannot wait to see all of you tomorrow. Good luck, everyone.